Hello, everyone. This has been done. It's a Friday, end of the week. Trying to catch up on some work. Getting over sort of a summer cold. Sorry, my voice seems kind of raspy. My apologies to everyone. But anyway, you know, lately I've been seeing a lot of people complaining about the comic book industry dying, or you know, in its last leg, so to speak. It's like, oh, the patient is near death, doctor. We need to do something. Should we just pull the plug and end it all? Type thing. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it seems interesting to me, though, that for such a dying industry, there's a lot of people entering the comic book business. What is it about wanting to do a comic book that so many people want to get in on it? Well, I'm pretty sure a lot has to do with the fact that crowdfunding has now become a thing. It used to be back in my day that you had to go through a traditional publisher. You had to get your stuff out there, self-publish. The thing about comics industry, it's that it's highly adaptable. I've noticed in the last 40 some odd years, things change, to fit what's currently going on. Like if it was not direct sales, which opened up the industry to non traditional comic book publishers, it's something like crowdfunding comes along. The thing about direct sales, before that there was underground comics. People find a way to get things done, and it's just, we as a comic book industry are highly adaptable, and we know that someone out there is going to figure out a way to uh, create a new dynamic. Is it me? No, I probably will be the one to follow whatever new thing comes along, because quite frankly, I'm more focused on just wanting to create comics, and that's my main focus. I leave the industry itself to the pioneers who are willing to take chances. Now, the history of comic book distribution is quite an interesting one, because when comics first started, they went through traditional newsstand publishers. They made contracts with certain areas of the country where they would get their books distributed through regional distributors. Now, that was sort of a willy-nilly type of way to do it, and distribution wasn't always consistent. It wasn't always the same. Some areas got comics that they didn't get every single comic. New York was basically the main hub for most of the comics that were being distributed. Then headshots came along in the 60s and late 50s, early 60s, and really started to blow up in the 70s, where you could get underground comics. And then so I got the bright idea to buy directly from publishers and started the direct market. And then that direct market thrived for many years until it didn't anymore, because of the economy, because people just weren't buying comics anymore, and things started to change. Now, the big change happened when Marvel decided that they thought they could be a distributor, and they failed quite spectacularly, and that caused a lot of damage to the direct market. They may not admit it, but it's true. It's just one of those things. And then crowdfunding came along, which nobody really figured out at first, the viability of that, until someone made some, started making bank with crowdfunding. See, the thing about it is that all it takes is somebody to figure out a way to make some money with a new model, new distribution model, new business model, and the industry will follow suit, because that's just the way things are. At the current moment, the best model we have is the direct distribution model, and it is, unfortunately, though, we're seeing fewer and fewer comic book stores, and that's what's causing the downturn in the industry. The only way that this model can work is if more comic book stores open. And now they're becoming more like nostalgia shops or mixed media shops or more toy shops, things with all sorts of, selling cards and games and things like that, which is fine. You do whatever you do to stay in business. But what's surprising to me is that a lot of creators are entering the comic book industry knowing full well that people out there are saying that the industry is dying. I think that's a lot of hyperbole in that statement, because the comic industry, in my opinion, is not dying. I think it's the mainstream comic industry that's dying. Now, it's interesting to point out recently, Boom sold themselves to Penguin Random House, which is a comic book distributor. So, there's no conflict there. Of course not. There's no conflict of interest. It's very curious that they would buy Boom Studios. There must have been a reason for it, and I, for the life of me, can't figure out why a distributor like Penguin Random House would buy a comic book publishing company, knowing that the industry was not doing well. It seems curious to me. So there must be something going on that I'm not seeing as far as the big picture is concerned. We can speculate, as to why. My own thing is that perhaps there was an IP that Boom owned that they wanted to get a hold of, but I can't figure out what it is that they actually own that they would want to buy the company for. To me, it seemed to make more sense that Penguin Random House just simply did their own comic book imprint and not have to pay a single dime for Boom, unless they figured out Boom had some connections, or the name has some cachet. But it's not like Boom is Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Disney or either a brand that people are quite familiar with. And it's not like Marvel, where people are very quite familiar with Marvel and DC. So it seems curious to me as to why they would buy Boom Publishing. I guess later on it can be revealed. I mean, the explanation was that the owners just simply wanted to cash out. That was always his intent, And that leads to another, frame of thought altogether, is that, some publishers are not in it for the long haul. They're in it just as a cash grab, and that's fine if that's what your business model is. But I don't know if Penguin Random House purchase of Boom is a good investment, because I just feel like if you're going to buy a comic book publisher, there has to be a reason to buy it. Whether they own the IP, whether they have a lot of cash in. I mean, I can understand buying Valiant because of their Valiant universe. I can understand even buying a company like Image, but even Image really doesn't own much. They don't. Most of these publishers, they don't own very much as far as IPs are concerned. So it just seems very curious to me. So, but the thing about it is that I think that the independent comic book industry is thriving. People are starting to notice that comics still exist. That you can do quite well with a comic if it's something that people want. Now, it is highly competitive. Don't get me wrong. It's just not the easy squeezy Japanesey type situation where anybody who says, "Oh, I'm going to just do a comic and I'm going to make a fortune." Nobody. Realistically speaking, you don't really want to enter the comic book industry to try to make money. You do it because you love it. You do it because you want to make something of it. You do it because you want to share an idea or a thought, and you feel like your idea has merit and that it will resonate with enough people that you can make money doing it. That's the whole idea. And when it comes down to it, you're only creating comics because you feel like you can make some money off of it. Because if you don't make any money off of it, then what's the point? Other than just filling your own ego, your own needs, your own wanting to satisfy some sort of itch that you have as far as wanting to share your creation with the rest of the world. The trouble is that sharing your creation with the rest of the world costs time and money, and that's something a lot of people are finding out is in very short supply when it comes to wanting to spread the gospel of your new comic book creation. But it is noticeable to me that there are people wanting to every day wanting to create the next new big comic, and that's quite frankly very encouraging to me as a whole, because I'd like to see new comics coming around. Because it to me it shows a sign that people still want to read and create and do comics. Unlike other industries that have risen and fallen, and have disappeared off the face of the earth. Comics, I think, is one of those art forms that will always be around till time immemorial. I mean, I could see comics even 15, 20, 30 years from now. I mean, I could be wrong. I may be long dead by then, but I don't. I really do see that comics have existed since the existence of mankind. Who, when they first learned how to draw on the cave walls, those cave drawings were comics. Albeit without the word balloons, but they were basically telling a story through visuals. And that is just basically what comics are. So. Anyway, I just wanted to say that no, the comic industry isn't dying, or the comic industry is changing, evolving. Comics themselves aren't dying. People are still doing comics. They always, and as far as I'm concerned, I won't say they always will, but they're going to keep doing it as long as people have that creative spark in them, and that they want to do something creative, and they have an idea to share. So anyway, that's my Friday food for thought. So until next time, this has Ben Dunn signing off. This has Ben Dunn. I do want to get a shout out. I got some really cool comics. I got from Joe Eli Corrales. Excuse me if I mispronounced her name. Called Improbable Girl and the Wonder Kitty. Looks like a very retro looking comic, a throwback to the Silver and Bronze Age. It's really kind of cool. Here's some examples of the interior artwork. It looks like the covers are drawn by Dom Simpson, which is really cool. I love his Megaton Man. Maybe Don and I can get together, do a team up maybe with Megaton Man, Tomorrow Girl. You never know. He sent me several comics, and this is number 8. Kudos to Joe, because he's actually believing in his product, and that's really what it comes down to. You have to believe in your product. You have to keep at it. This is number 9. So he's on the 9th issue here, and this is kind of an interesting change of base. Not your normal. This looks a little bit more serious. So, yeah. Check out Improbable Girl and Wonder Kitty. It seems like a very fun comic. So just a little shout out, and if you'd like me to promote your indie comic, feel free to send it in, and I'll be happy to do a shout out for it. So, till next time, this has been done. Signing off.